Are you
Thank you.
okay?
I'm great. It's nice to be with you again.
Yeah, I'm back again as your dedicated moderator here after 2 weeks.
Were you on holiday?
No, I broke my leg and that's why. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I hope you get well
Start
soon.
skating in your 30s. It could happen all the time, so I don't recommend anyone. Please
well
warm up
soon.
before start skating if you are old enough to start.
No, I'm not old enough.
So that's why I had an accident. That's why. Sorry.
Sorry to hear that.
So Taha, welcome. How are you, my friends?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. How are you?
It's great to see you.
Yeah, great to see you too. Yeah.
Hello, Azesh. Welcome. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
You're fine. It's good to see you all.
Thank you, sir.
Anastasia, Potokina. Guys, if you are, if it's okay for you, it will be very great if you open your camera and I can see you, and we all can see you. Kathleen, I know you're there.
Yeah, hi, I'm here. Hi, very nice to meet you.
How are you?
I'm doing fine, thanks. It's great.
Great to see you.
Good to see you too.
Rabia.
Hey, how are you?
From Life Story. Anastasia from Life Story. Welcome all of you. So let me summarize the program again. First, we start as usual by speaking up about our startups, your startup introduction. Maybe today you can say the keywords that reflects your startup. So maybe 1 or 3 words, or it's up to you. You can tell your keywords about your startup. And after that, our training session will start in after maybe 50 minutes, I don't know. And after that, we will make a breakout room session for 50 minutes again. And then we start the second training. Let me tell you Ersin Nakışçı and Unotida Enyoni will tell us about their experience. Unotida will speak about the feasibility and valuation, and Ersin Nakışçı will tell us about the psychology of the entrepreneurs. So let's start slowly, if it's okay for everyone. And let me see your hands. Let me see your energy. Great. So, Ecem, you're always the first. I know you are very happy with that.
Okay.
So could you tell us what is your keywords about your startups?
Keywords for our startup is flexibility and customizability, and I can say all-in-one solution.
Great keywords. So who's next?
I can go next if you would like to. So I would say HR, digitization, and also customization. These are the 3 keywords I would mention.
Great. Superb. So who's Özer? Could you tell us what is your keywords?
Yeah, I was just thinking because we were not ready for that.
Yeah, take your time.
Last minute question. Our startup keywords maybe are the management, all-in-one solution, again, and the modularization.
They are very valuable keywords you have.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
So, Taha.
So the keywords for Minimum, it's performance, fast delivery, voice menu, easy management, and easy design. Yeah.
Ahmet Makti from where? Ahmet Makti.
Life Story. I'm with the team.
Life Story.
Yeah. The three keywords are live better, personalized recommendations, and self-earns.
So we learned about the life story, Benim Menu, and Linguverse, and the Blue Colibri, and Anastasia. Can you talk about the how you found the life story?
You mean another Anastasia? Okay. Sorry.
Ah, Rabia Sarılmış, Green Surfer.
Yeah, I can continue.
Ah, sorry, I couldn't see your hand. Sorry.
It's okay.
Please forgive me.
For our startup, keywords are sustainable and responsible consumption, marketplace, and social impact.
Totally great. So, if every startup's finished, we can maybe start.
I didn't say anything, but it's okay.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yes, I wanted to say innovation, spirituality, and personal approach.
Innovation, spirituality, and personal. Right.
Personal approach. Yes.
Personal approach. Ah. So, where is our mentor? Unotida Enyoni. Is he here? Is he here? No, I think he couldn't attend, I think. They are coming. Zerrin says they are coming. Okay, Zerrin. I couldn't see my phone, sorry. Ersin is here? Okay, whatever. Just let me tell you a joke. No, I cannot tell you a joke. But if someone knows a funny story, it's okay for us.
Maybe Adam, I may jump in just for a few minutes. Do you hear me?
Sorry? Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, perfect. I just want to emphasize and also maybe hear some experience through maternity. Last week, yesterday actually, we had chance to meet one-to-one with the life story team. I met Kadri, Ahmet, and other teammates. It was really very good occasion and good opportunity. We had valuable discussions. How was for others? Do you have chance to meet one by one with mentors, and how is going so far? Maybe just to have a brief for a few minutes would be helpful, just to emphasize the opportunity once more. And I see that Uno is here, and then we may move immediately to the trainer.
Yeah, is there any question about the maternity or any words about it? By the way, as Mr. President told us, Unotida here. Unotida Nyoni. By the way, someone raised the hand, right? I don't see a hand here.
It was me.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had chance also last week, not last week, just before that, with Ahmet Reshat to have a 1 hour great meeting. That's he recommended many points that we are considering at the moment. It was very, very useful. Thank you.
By the way, Ahmet Rashid is a great guy. Congratulations for you. I think, Unotida, Nyoni. Welcome, sir. How are you? We don't hear you right now. Unotida Nyoni. Can you hear me? Hello? I think you cannot. Okay, is there any experience about the maternity? Other one? Dan Özer. Ejahan, have you made a connection with your mentor?
Not yet, but I think it's because of me, because it was a very busy period for me. I moved my office and also my home, so I couldn't have a chance to ask for a one-to-one mentorship. Maybe next week, I will try.
Okay, Taha, I think, raise the hand. Taha.
Yeah, last week.
By the way, you raise your hand showing the camera or just from the emotions? I don't see your hand. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. Last week I did the mentoring session with Mr. Ahmed, and it was so interesting. Yeah, we talk about the project and about the point that we should focus on, so we can fix the those things and and go right. Yeah.
Unotida, do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Finally, we hear you. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, I am great. For some reason, I can't hear you from my computer device, so I just had to use my phone.
I think
you guys see me?
Worry. Yes, very clearly.
Perfect.
Great. So is it Enyoni or Nioni?
It's Nyoni.
Nioni.
Yes.
Okay, so I can give you the stage, so you can start whenever you want. It's okay for you.
Sorry, come again?
Yeah, I give you the stage, so you can start whenever you want for the training for feasibility and the valuation.
Okay, perfect. I'm trying to see what I can do to, if you can give me sharing rights for both users named Uno there, that would be great, so that I can use my computer to share what I'm about to share. But
in the meantime, I also want to say welcome to you. It's great to see you again in the same session after Build Beyond Boundaries, and welcome. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much, President Zareen. It's good to see you. And I must say it is an honor to be part of this Scale Up project, Scale It Up. And it's almost for me a miracle that we are talking from different parts of the world, but we are building towards one thing, and that is great. And I think many of you would have been at the Build Beyond Boundaries project that happened a few weeks ago with JCI Bangalore Garden City in India. And today you're getting someone, I'm sure there are many people from different parts of the world that you have chosen as coaches and mentors. So it's a fantastic project you've got there, and I hope that it is going to certainly help a lot of entrepreneurs that are there. And I think I wouldn't do a good thing if I don't give a big shout out to the 2015 JCI President Ismail. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I know when the questions came about who to look for, you quickly put out my name out there, and I'm glad that I'm getting this opportunity to share with people in Turkey. This is the wonderful thing about JCI. This is the wonderful thing about our organization, because we're in more than 110 countries, and that just says how much wealth we've got in human resources, in social capital. And what I'm about to give to you is my social capital, my intellectual knowledge coming to you from Cape Town for free, because I value the organization, and we are all privileged to be part of this wonderful organization. So I've been given a topic that has two parts: feasibility on one end and valuation on the other. And the brief I was given, in fact, I was given free room to kind of give my own twist to it, and I'm going to use that freedom to do exactly that. Now, this is how I will explain feasibility, and this is how I will explain valuation. And for me, in the context of people that are starting up businesses, and in the context of people that are looking to get investments, the context of people, that is where we are going. So we're talking feasibility of the business idea, and then we're going to be talking about valuation of your company in the context of I'm looking for investments and I want people to give me money. How am I going to value my business? What things do I need to consider for me to do that? And I hope that this context, just this broad concept, is something that's okay with you. Now, my feasibility talk is going to be mostly opportunity mapping oriented, right? In other words, I'm saying there are many things that you would consider, and there are many frameworks that you could use to see whether your business idea is feasible or not. But as entrepreneurs, we are people that seek opportunity. And so I am going to be talking about how to look for that opportunity. So I'm not sure if I've been given room to share my screen here. Oh yeah, I have. Okay, so I'm going to share something from part of this is a training that I was asked to do by the JCI HQ in the same project that President Ismail is in, and I've just put a twist to it so that it fits the description and the things that we want here. So feasibility and valuation. So we're going to be talking, okay, if you don't mind, I'm going to switch off the video from the phone and put on a video from the computer. So you will get a mix. You will, like, the person you're hearing from is not the person that you'll be seeing, but if you put a pin on it, I'm sure you'll be okay, right? So that I don't disturb the way things are going here. There you go. Okay. So if the host could put a pin on my face, I'm sure that it will still show me as the presenter. So we're going to do 4 things. We're going to go through the JCI action framework, opportunity mapping, go through the viability of any business idea using examples that we already know. And then we are going to use to talk about valuation methods that one can use, right? So first, let's go through the action framework because it's a good place to start when looking at opportunity mapping. So the first stage of the action framework is analyze. As you know, we have got analyze, develop, execute, and review. It's a very simple method. So in analysis, that is where the opportunity map is done, where you're looking at the opportunity and you're asking yourself, is this thing going to work out? Number one, and I'm suggesting to you that these are the things that you can do to kind of get to see when you analyze. You observe, you listen to complaints, you use your experiences, and you develop empathy. So by observation, I mean that you are kind of taking time to think through what's going on and thinking about what people are needing. Listening to complaints goes into every problem. Every business is looking to solve a problem. So you want to be able to listen to your clients. And there's some questions that you can ask. And these questions help you to get there. And then develop, as we know, you can use collective brainstorming with your team, come up with a project plan, come up with a budget and an action plan. And there you have a solid plan that you can use to do what you need to do. Then the third bit is execution. And there it's simple. You want to make sure you try it out. You get it out there and you see how it goes. And then review is you're looking at your objectives and the progress and you're comparing the two. Now, I want to put this action framework into context because we're going to go into looking at feasibility in its entirety. But let me talk about this example that we all know of Netflix, right? and how this action framework was used in many ways. I don't know if any of you have seen this documentary on Prime. It's on Prime Video on how Netflix was started up. But for the benefit of those who wouldn't have, and many I think may not have, let me just take you down memory lane. Remember the time when, if you wanted to watch one of your best movies, you would go to a shop, right? And you would go, and first we used to have those video cassettes that we would go and get. You would get a pile of them, right? And if your movie was taken, you wouldn't be able, you would have to wait and then go back to the shop and get that. In the US, the big business there was by a company called Blockbuster, right? Big business, you know, and you would have to pay a fine. You would have to pay a fine if you don't bring this thing, this DVD or this cassette back on time. Now, Reed Hastings was a guy who was fired by that time, had just been fired from a job, and was looking into the industry. And now I want us to look at how he analyzed the industry. And if you look at that movie on the story of Netflix on Prime, you would be amazed how this thing was started. And they just had an idea of which industry can we get into. We know brick and mortar is going down and the internet and the fourth industrial revolution is going up. Which industry can we go in and make use of the fourth industrial revolution, right? And they looked at the video industry, and then they analyzed the problem. And the problem was, number one, you had to go to a shop to get your movie, right? Number two, there was these penalties that were happening, right? Number three, you couldn't get your movie on time as and when it came, and that was a problem. And then these guys, through analysis, thought to themselves, let's develop something. If you watch that movie, you will see that they tried out taking a DVD, putting it in an envelope that has protection on it, and putting it through the mail and seeing how long it will take to be delivered to a customer. So they mailed it to themselves. This is how they were developing their prototype, if you would say, solution. And they figured it only takes a day, right? And there was the aha moment for them. We can develop this internet-based method of ordering our movies. And if people order them online, we send them, and they can keep them for as long as they want. They can bring them back and get another set of movies, and they can be unlimited, right? And that's how this thing was. They started executing this and reviewing it. Now we know that people no longer do that hiring of DVDs things, because as technology was developing, you would get that the streaming thing came into place, and people started, and Netflix, using this framework of, you know, continuous analyzing, developing, and executing and reviewing, would say, this is a new solution on the market. Can we use this solution? And now streaming is the main thing. But they are not just a streaming business anymore, because as you continue reviewing your business, you can get to a place where you're saying, okay, no, since we are now big on streaming, can't we do production, movie production as well? And then you start moving into video production. That's where we see your House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, or Black is the New Orange, movies coming out of Netflix, right? Because you are playing around with things, analyzing opportunities. And we want to see how the mindset of analyzing opportunities can be used the Netflix kind of way, in a way that multiplies the value of what we do for the customers that we have. So That was just the example. And I was just promoting the action framework there to just have it in mind that you are in the right organization. Now, how do we identify business opportunities for ourselves and kind of see how viable they are? And I want to get you to this quote by Napoleon Hill that I love so much. And it says, opportunity often comes disguised in the form of misfortune or temporary defeat. And I want to add something to that. So misfortune, temporary defeat, complaints, where things aren't easy for people, where things are uncomfortable for people, that's where you find opportunity. So you need to be looking for trouble for you to be getting the face of opportunity for your business. What trouble are people going through? What uneasiness are people going through, right? And I'm going to say 4 common challenges that an entrepreneur needs to meet to have eyes for them to see opportunity. Number 1, where there is limitation. If there is lack of access to goods or services, right? Lack of access or limited choice for people. Whenever there is lack of access, you know that there is an opportunity there. Or whenever there's limited choice, in other words, monopolies. So the Netflix guys could see Blockbuster as a business was running into billions. It was a 4 billion revenue business at the time, but they were the only ones. When Nike was introduced, Adidas was the biggest player in the market. And what that does is for the customer, from the customer point of view, there is just a limited range of choices. The entrepreneur who thinks, I want to be the person that provides the second alternative or the third alternative is actually seeing an opportunity for themselves. So whenever there's limitation of access, whenever there's a monopoly, whenever there's 1 or 2 providers only, you've got a problem. Your eye has to be looking at that as an opportunity. The second one is inconvenience, where there is uneasiness. So where things are annoying to do. In the Netflix example that I was giving, it was annoying to stand in a queue waiting to get a movie, right? In your industry and in what you're doing, what's annoying for your type of customers? What are they annoyed of? What is difficult in the provision of the service that they want? Right? Because when you find out what's difficult, what's annoying, you are about to identify a big opportunity for yourself or a big room for you to kind of, give an improvement in. The number 3 challenge is expensive, right? And people don't know that things are expensive, especially if the one product that they have is just the only product on the market, right? But if you can look at it and say, can I make it better? Can I make it less expensive than this? Can I make it less exclusive, right? So I'm sure you would know there are types of businesses that first, or types of products that first were just for a few people. The computer industry, for example. Not everybody used to own a laptop. Not everybody used to own a computer. At first, it was super expensive. And the Microsofts of this world were looking at how can we democratize this thing and make it available for many other people. In your industry, what is exclusively given to a certain group of people that you can make sure that it's available to many others? Knowledge, education, all of these things. When you think about that, you are about to see opportunities for your customer there. Then the other one is service. When there is bad customer service, when there is a hindrance of some sort to getting what people want, where there are inefficiencies, right? Things are not coming as fast as they should, where there are losses or where there are disadvantages for the customer, that bit, or there is loss of time, there's loss of resources, there's a disadvantage in that you have to go through a whole lot of processes for you to get what you want. There is an opportunity that's waiting for the entrepreneur unlock value there if they are creative enough to, to provide that. So the questions that one should be asking is, can I make it easier? Can I make it more accessible? Can I make it more enjoyable? And enjoyable is one big, good question to ask. People are looking for happiness, and joy comes in different ways. The Facebooks of this world were created on this notion of happiness and connectedness. That can I make people connect to each other a lot more? And can I make them happier when they post their activities of the day and they get likes and they get reactions? Can I make them happier? Can I give them more pleasure, right? Can you provide more options? Can you make it more affordable? Can you make it faster? And can you save people money? When you ask yourself these questions, you are about to get to the choice of opportunity that will help you to create value for your customers. So I'm just gonna wait here for a second and ask if we are together and if we are following and if this is of any value to you at the moment. When I run my meetings, when there is silence, there is contentment, and therefore I move on. I see the smiles, I take it, they are a sign that we are together. Perfect. All right. Now, let's get into some real examples, right? Let's get into some real examples that we can use of global businesses that have looked at opportunities in the same way, in the same framework, or in the same questions that I was talking about, and have been able to provide a service or a product that helps grow their businesses. So I was talking about limited choices just now. And when I talked about limited choices, the alternative is that you want to introduce an alternative, right? And I talked to you about Nike. If you read this book called Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, and I'm sure we all know Nike, the sports shoe, right? I enjoyed listening to this book on audio, on Audible. Man, at the time, Adidas was the only big sports shoe back in the 60s, 1950s, right? And this guy just had an idea of providing an alternative, right? And all he did was, this is what's there now. What if we could provide more shoes that have more style or that can allow a different level of comfort? And what he did was at the time, Japan was the manufacturing hub of the world in many ways because China hadn't come up to the extent that it is now. So this young man, I think he was 18, 19, thereabout, had written a thesis for his MBA, in which he was suggesting that there could be an opportunity to provide an alternative for sports shoes. But he didn't know that this alternative would be actually something that could grow into a big business. So he went on, those gap years where you go to and visit some countries. He asked for some money from parents to go and visit the world. And he ended up in Japan. Talked to a few manufacturing companies and ended up with a deal with one of the companies in Japan. He didn't have a team. He just said, I have my company. And in fact, when he was asked, what's the name of your company, he came up with the company's name on the spot and the address of the company right on the spot. And that's the way he got his first pack of 10 shoes coming or being mailed to the US. And when he started selling, now I want you to see how the framework starts working. When he started selling these shoes, he started observing clients were fascinated by the difference in this shoe. and started making different observations that made him want to improve a lot more. To cut the long story short, the more he asked the manufacturing company in Japan to improve one or two things, the more he sold, until after 10 years, it grew into a big business, which he rebranded to Nike and has become the global brand that we know. Only because the problem here was limited choice, right? So what limitation do your clients face that you want to be looking at? And the thing is this, no journal, no newspaper, or no journalist is going to tell you that there is a limitation. Because at that time, that's what's there. They may not be able to actually analyze it with an entrepreneurial mind. You've got to look for it and say, is there an alternative that can be created? Then the second one is the monopoly. And this is a Zimbabwean company. Now, this is a Zimbabwean mobile telephone providing company, right? It is one of the biggest networks within Zimbabwe. Back in, also, this is in the 90s, there was a monopoly by a parastatal, a government-run entity that ran all telecommunications. And this guy could tell there were inefficiencies, and he was working for this organization. His name is Strive Masiwa. And he could tell that there were limitations, there were inconsistencies or inefficiencies within the business. But at that time, the wireless technology, phone technology was being developed, and he could see this could be a great thing. And he tried to negotiate with the Zim government to do a joint venture, and they didn't want to. And he decided to provide an alternative. And this business has grown into multiples of $billion business and has moved and has presence in many countries. And all this is because there is an alternative that you are thinking as an entrepreneur that I can provide for my customer base, right? There's two things, in fact. There's technology development and an alternative solution that you can see that's not still available, but you can see it, and you want to provide it for you. Okay. And then the third example is for inconvenience. I mean, now, this is not necessarily for any company. There are many people across the world who are still washing their clothes or whatever using hands. And I'm sure the introduction of the washing machine is making things convenient for the customers, right? So as you are thinking in your industry, think about inconveniences and making things easy for people. And I'm sure this washing machine business is a business that goes into billions all around the world, because there's an innovation that has been used to do this. And the last one I want to tell you, in fact, the second last one, is when you're trying to make things cheaper for people. And I would encourage you to read this book as well, Sam Walton, Made in America. And Walmart is built on this philosophy of, if I want to make things more available, convenience, and I want to make things more cheaper for people, what work can I do to do that? And Sam worked on making groceries and appliances available at a cheaper price. And that was his competitive advantage throughout the formation of the Walmart group. And now we also know that him and his family are great businesses, right? Then the last one has to do with bad customer service. And I don't know if you know this company, but this book is also highly recommended by me. WTF, Willing to Fail. It's a very misleading title when you see it, but even the audible book of it is very nice when you listen to it. But the big deal here is that another monopoly, and it was started in Canada, another monopoly, usually when you see government is the only service provider, this is junk collection, right? Or garbage collection. When you see government is the only service provider available, you know there will be inconsistencies, there will be inefficiencies, because they're not exactly driven by profit, and because of that, they're not going to give the best service to get the best business, right? And this guy started his business based on the idea that if I can make service more pleasurable, I know it's collection of garbage, but if I can make my people who go and collect these things, and if I can make them, the customer, pay a little bit, they weren't paying much, but if I can make them pay a little bit more for this service, they will pay and my business will grow. And based upon that idea, this business has grown not only in Canada, but in the US as well, in all the states in the US. And it's based on the idea of, making customer service at the forefront, right? So here are the references of the books that you could look at for the feasibility, especially just the opportunity mapping, right? And just a recap on the questions. Opportunity questions: can you make it easier, accessible, enjoyable, options, affordable, faster, and is there more money or more time that you can give to your customers or to your questions? More feasibility questions that you can ask yourself, more on the risk side now, is can I provide this service at a profit? How much work do I need to do to at least break even? Do I have the required resources to tackle this problem? So do I have the human, financial, social resources to tackle this problem? And how long will it take before we can become profitable? These are other feasibility questions. And I have 3 other frameworks that I could also give to you, and I'm sure you know these frameworks. I'm going to explain them briefly, that help you to kind of think about feasibility. There's the SWOT analysis, where you look at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It just kind of helps you to frame things. Porter's 5 forces and Pestel. Now, SWOT, we all know, and I won't go deeper into it. It's just a framework that you can use to say, as a business, as an organization, where are we on this? And investors usually ask you questions that lead to 1 or 2 of these things. And you should show that you have put some thought into it, right? Porter's 5 forces is really looking at the competitive environment. It's looking at the supplier environment, the buyers that you have, the competition, the substitutes, because you could be providing one service, but there could be some substitute that comes in and messes your business up. And new entrants, are there new people that are coming into this industry and helping you to get through stuff? And the last one is the Pestel, and it's really looking at the external environment and saying, if I consider the political environment, if I consider the environmental environment, the social, technological, economic, and legal environment that my business operates in, is this still feasible? So these are pretty subjective ways of looking at feasibility, but they are good. Okay, now for the last 13 minutes, I'm just going to talk about valuations. But let me first understand if we are okay with feasibility at the moment. Once again, I will take nods as a sign of comfort at this point. Right, value, of course, what will you do anyway? You won't fire me now, right? I'm here. Okay, so valuation. So there are 2 things. I want to talk about 2 things that, two ways of extracting value out of your company. Number 1 is through the profits that you make and the dividends that you get as an owner and a shareholder of your business. And the second one is through the selling of shares of your company or through the growth of your company's value. Because sometimes we forget that the organization we are building actually has value in it that can be sold, you know? And usually when you're starting your business, they are asking you this question about what's your exit strategy? What are you thinking about? Is this just a business that you are working on so that you can say a family has a legacy? Or is this something that you're willing to sell in the future? And I suppose, and I think from the very beginning, these two ways of growing or extracting value from your company, you should have considered them. You should consider profits and dividends, but also don't forget that the organization is getting some value and it's growing in its value, right? So valuation concerns the time that you will sell your company, and investors have different exit strategies, just like I just told you. So I'm going to tell you of the different ways in which companies are valued, and I am going to suggest some things for your organization or your company, assuming that we are all either startups or, or we have companies that have grown to small to medium enterprise stage. And then we can talk about that, but we'll explore all options. So how does one arrive at the value of a company? So how do you sell it? So the first method I want to introduce you to is called the discounted cash flow method. So this method is like saying, you're going to do future cash flow projections of your company. How much will the company be making throughout the future? Then you use a discounted rate to calculate the present value using the future cash flows of that business. Now, usually this method, where there is a challenge, is coming up with the discount rates. Because it's based on industry norms, it's based on a lot of things that are a lot of risks, because we are not sure that what you're projecting for the future is what actually will happen. So that's where the discounted cash flow method comes short, but it's a method that's used to identify or to come up with the value of your company. The second method, which in most cases, most of our businesses are going to be using, is the multiples method, right? So the multiples method is saying, take an element of your business, put an X times 10 or times 20, and that becomes the value of the business, right? So for startups, for example, tech startups, at some point they are making money, but they are not making profits. And so you can't use earnings before interest and tax or whatever, or you can't use profit after tax or profit before tax. You can only use revenue, right? So they take sales, for example, and they say annual sales times 2-3 years. That becomes the value of the organization, the value of the company, all right? But you can use different items on the performance of the business. So sales, earnings before interest and tax, and depreciation. These two are the most common. And depending on the stage of fundraising that you are in, so you can be at seed stage, Series A funding, Series B funding, or multiple kind of growth stage. The multiple you use is dependent also on the stage that you are at. So you would know that maybe if you are raising up to your first $1 million, similar companies use 10x on revenue or something like that. Then that's the norm that's used then. So our job is to find out similar businesses in our industries that have raised capital and to find out what multiple they used. And sometimes you just find out how much did they get, and then you say, how much revenue are they making? It kind of gives you the multiple that they use, and that's the norm that you use to value your company, right? And then there's market valuation. And usually this one is for listed companies where supply and demand factors are already in the market. So shares are going to go up or they're going to go down based on many things that are happening on the market. And the investments or the analysis of the market is going to determine the price of this. And I'm not sure if we have any listed companies represented in this talk today, but this is one valuation method that's the least complicated. Then comparable transactions method is like you're just looking at similar businesses that have raised capital and just saying, if I compare the factors of this company to mine, this is what I would also say. And that's how I come back to this one. And the fifth one is the payback period method. And here you're saying there's an assumption that any business should be able to pay its value back in 3 years. So if you take the profit of each month and you multiply it by 36 months, that becomes the kind of value that you give to that business. And so that the rule of thumb of 3 years payment period can be met. I hope that makes it very clear. So here is my advice on the valuation of companies. Do research on similar types of businesses in your industry. Kind of look at what other businesses have raised capital and see what methods they used, and you can use the same. See what stage of raising capital they are at and see what the current revenue is at. And that's how you kind of get there. Okay, I think I am still on time and I still have 4 minutes to spare. Feasibility and valuations, folks. I hope this helped. You can remove the pin.
May I ask a question, please?
Sure, please go ahead.
I'm the founder of the company Mangodo, and now at the moment, in fact, we are a software house. But when we started our journey back in 2012, we were like resellers of other solutions, one of them from Barcelona. And this valuation and investment thing was very much it was something that I was considering also in sense of competition, because I always had the feeling that when there comes a big project, for example, like a tender, we were a company who was earning from projects. So it had to be a profitable project. But I had the feeling that the companies who are the owner of the product are like preparing themselves for investment, and that's not only profit, but also, for example, number of users or number of screens, because we were doing digital signage. And the more you are widespread and the more you have more screens and everything, that affects the investment decisions, I guess. So it was happening to us many times that because we try to be profitable, but those guys want to get investment from investors, so they can really be even in minus because they just want to spread, And then, of course, we were in a position that we are like having disadvantages. I want to ask you if this is the right logic, if this is the right logic for a product owner, for a startup to go for, because I think that was our somehow really obstacle in such big projects.
So in other words, what you're saying is that there was a difference between you guys were aiming for profit because you're going for it, right? And these guys are really aiming for the revenue.
Yes,
because exactly. And the users and the and those kind of things, because that's how they could get more investors. Those are the numbers they could show to potential investors.
Exactly, this is what I'm saying.
Okay, and you're saying, so were you right to just focus on profit and not revenue, whilst they were focusing on revenue and other top line indicators?
Yes, exactly. But we were like, we had to focus on profit because we were not the product owner. We were like service company reselling a product that is owned by a company in Barcelona. And then because of this reason, I think I always made this judgment for myself. It was really hard to compete with those guys.
It was easier for them to get capital because they owned the products than it was for you because you didn't have ownership. Is that what you're saying?
So I didn't hear you.
It was easier for them to get more capital because they owned the product and they manufactured it compared to you who were the resellers.
Exactly, and their focus was different.
Okay, so I think, and I will ask other people to also contribute to this, but that's for them, they used the strengths that they had. And their strength was, we own the product, we own the IP and whatever else around this product. And we are selling using the revenue because we want to saturate the market with our product and become the sole supplier. And in the end, when the investor is looking at it, they are investing into potential, not into the profits at the moment. So they are investing into the potential with the hope that this will become profitable if the growth is fast enough, right? So they had a different strategy of, let's get as much capital as we can to outdo the rest of the market that's there. Your business could have actually done the same, even without the ownership of the product, especially if there were many producers of this product out there. You could actually go and sell your investment based on the revenue that you were making, but also on the viability of your business because you were profitable. Mm-hmm. You actually had more chances of getting investment in that way. But I guess when you were looking at it from a competition point of view, you thought, man, they have a bigger advantage than us. But I suppose it was right that they did, but it was just a psychological advantage in some way. That you could, if especially in your plans, you would say the profitability we're going to make will enable us to increase our to get into the supply chain and actually start manufacturing on our own as well. It would sell differently to a different investor, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you, Notida. Your lecture was very full of content and you're very fluent, so we didn't want to cut your pace while you are lecturing. So thanks again for your great lessons. So let's start with another breakout sessions, guys. Bahar, can you handle the rooms? By the way, if you have any questions, you can ask anytime you want.
I will create the rooms, but you can take just questions in this time also.
I think no questions, right? So. Ahmed has a question, I think.
Yeah. Thank you, Notida, for your lecture today. I really enjoyed it. I would like to ask a question. From your experience, what is the #1 mistake that startups do when trying to know whether their startup idea is feasible or not? What is the #1 mistakes that people do when trying to figure out this?
I think it is comparing themselves to other players in the market who at this point may not see what you are able to see. Because as an entrepreneur, you want to test out the things that you are thinking. You have a hypothesis, right? You have said, I think there is lack of this thing here. It's just a thought. And you are proving it to yourself as you run your business. But because you're the only person who is thinking that at the moment, you're thinking, if you fail once or twice, I'm going to stop because I might be crazy doing this. Whereas the person who is going to continue doing that and testing it until they find a proper solution will go on and actually become the best in that game. So imagine if Phil Knight with Nike would have stopped providing an alternatives because there were no other organizations providing that alternative. There would be no business case. So it's self-belief mostly, and it's self-confidence that might lack in the when there is seemingly some insurmountable obstacles that you meet. But you just got to keep on believing that there could be an opportunity, and the market must tell me that there is or not. If the market tells me that I'm going in the wrong direction, I will take the different direction. But if the market doesn't tell me, I shouldn't doubt myself in what I'm trying to do.
So using the market to validate my own thoughts and ideas. That's
absolutely.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? Okay, so Özge, you can send us to rooms.
Yeah, give me just 1 more minute. I will be ready soon.
By the way, Ersin is here, our next lecturer. Welcome, Ersin. Is your connection good?
Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
Let me
We'll
start my
lecture after
video.
Yeah.
Okay.
After
Hello, Adam. Hello,
breakout
everyone.
rooms. Yeah. We'll start your training after we make out the rooms. Okay. So Özge, it's okay.
1 minute, please.
My assistants. How pretty.
Okay, I think we're ready right now.
By the way, we have a question we can talk about on breakout room, or you can talk whatever you want.
Yeah, you can tell your entrepreneurship story.
Telling about your entrepreneurship story. You can talk about this subject first, and then you can keep going another subject, whatever you want.
But I have a question actually. Notidonioni has 2 accounts. I think he has in 2 rooms. He will be in 2 rooms. So I don't know which is like he will use. So this is my problem right now because 2 names like the same. So I can't be sure like which room is exactly he will be. Right.
I was actually going to ask to be excused at this point because I have another engagement, if you guys don't mind. But if you would be, if you really need me to be here, I will be. But I
will put these 2 accounts in the same room, so it's gonna be, I think for you. Yeah. Put your 2 accounts in the same room so you can just like be in 1 room, I guess.
Okay, that'll be fair.
If you have another engagement, you can always free to leave. Okay, it's okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for the invite.
Okay, thank you for everything you tell us.
Okay, I create the rooms now.